won't need them, but
That's okay.
if I do, then
We'll plug them in.
We'll plug them in.
Yeah, cool. Right, Mark, how are you? You all right?
No, I'm very well. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah, and you. It's been a very long time.
It has indeed.
Well, the last time I saw you, I believe, was in Mighty Force. And I don't know how long that was. It was fucking years ago.
Well, it would have been 1995 at the latest. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So how long did Mighty Force go on for? Or the record shop go on for?
Mighty Force, the shop, only was 5 years, really.
Right, okay.
Yeah, well, 4.5, in fact, I think.
Right, okay.
So...
You didn't have Brave New World, did you? That was Jan.
No, that was Jan.
She bought Mighty Force and changed the name. Is that correct?
Yeah, she bought it. Yeah, she bought it as a sort of existing business, and then did what she wanted with it. Yes, but I kept the record label side of things.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Carried on running that when I moved to London for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Brilliant. Yeah, so I remember buying my first record off you. So it's quite nostalgic having you in here. I mean, like, not only that, I mean, like, I used to hang out, I used to hang out at Mighty Force loads. Like, I'd be in there like 2, 3, 4 times a week all afternoon, just like kicking it, because it was so fucking wicked in there.
It was a social hub as well, the shop, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah,
I bought, I don't know who the label, you'll know this because I've asked you a couple of times, like, oh, what's that record that goes boom, tick, clap, boom, tick, clap, and you were like, oh yeah, it's such and such or such and such label by such and such, released in fucking 1989 or something, you know, you just know the ins and outs of everything about that label. But it was, is it called Belgium? I don't know.
Megatonk, Belgium. It's I think it was the first release by Charles Webster, actually.
Right, okay.
Who went on to be, well, Charles Webster, Deep House Dawn, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that was my first ever record. And that was in the shop when it was around the corner. So it was in the smaller unit.
Yeah, we started off in the small unit, and we were there about a year, and then we moved into the 3 times the size units.
All the stalls and everything.
Yeah.
And then I think the second record, which I'd have bought off you again, was Spank the Monkey #1. And had a monkey with a banana on his dick. But
that would be it, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And obviously there are many more to come from there. But... yeah, you've got a bit of a history before Mighty Force, I believe, in the punk era and
yeah,
stuff.
well, I sort of, I suppose my involvement with actual doing music started in the punk era, yeah.
Right.
I suppose I've always been really interested in music, and not pop music. I started listening to John Peel at 12, and like people did, and so I've always been interested in the sort of more unusual music anyway, but I got old enough to be able to get into gigs and things in about 1976, 1977, and so obviously started going to punk stuff. Yeah. And also because like we weren't allowed in anywhere, like nightclub wise, because of the way we looked. When we wanted to go out clubbing, the only places we could go were the 2 gay clubs in Bournemouth, where I came from. Right. So there were these 2 gay clubs that were playing disco as well, and and so yeah, we were into punk rock and we were into gay disco.
Right. Okay. So you're originally from Bournemouth.
I'm originally from Bournemouth. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't know your youth in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
All right, that's
I left Bournemouth in 1986, never to return. So.
Right, okay, so you haven't been back there at all?
Well, no, actually, that's not true. I left Bournemouth in 1986. I did return. I was only away for a year. I moved to London for a year. Then I came back, and then I got involved in all the acid house stuff. So, and I was there for another 2 years. So
when did you get
3 years?
How did you get involved with the acid house? I mean, I've heard the rumours and I've spoken to you about Pepperbox. So sorry, I am concentrating. I'm trying to put this screensaver up. I don't know why it didn't start because
I don't need to see us twice, do they?
Really? Yeah, we don't have to see like thousands of us fucking fractaling. I've done far too much acid to do that, in the past. I don't want to see it again.
So, how did I get involved in acid house?
Yeah.
Well, being sort of involved in bands and music and going to free festivals and stuff like that right through the early to mid 80s. And then that was all starting to fragment. And my girlfriend, who later became my first wife at the time, she decided she was going to leave England and with a couple of friends hitchhike through France and Spain and go to Ibiza.
Right.
And
was that Jess?
That was Jess,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
And so she did that with 2 female friends. And then when she got there, she said, God, you've got to come out. It's fantastic here. This is 1987.
Right.
So I got a plane out, and they were living in this little finca place up in the middle of nowhere in San Juan, I think it was. And we could see the lights of Koo and things, lasers from Koo and everything in the distance. But we weren't going to any of that kind of stuff. We were going to beach parties and things.
Right.
And like house was just sort of beginning to sort of kick off at these beach parties, and so we were dancing around to sort of early house and acid stuff. And to begin with, actually, I hated it. Right. She had these early DJ Pierre tapes, and I was listening to this and thinking, what is this clicky clacky repetitive nonsense? And I didn't get it at all until I actually heard it on a big rig, and then suddenly it all made total sense. So we did the summer in Ibiza, and then I came back, and my brother was setting up a shop. He was into role-playing games and film memorabilia and stuff, and he asked me if I wanted to be partner in it because we just inherited some money because one of our relatives had died. And so I began partnering him in the shop, and as we were setting it up, I also was going to house clubs and things in Bournemouth and meeting the people who are involved in that, one of which was Justin Harris, who became half of Music for Freaks with Luke Solomon, another guy, Nigel Casey, who became House of 909, who ended up making an album or 2 for Pagan and things like that, if you remember that label from back in the day.
No.
But anyway, they both became influential in their own way as well. Anyway, we got to be friends, and we started doing clubs together. Along with Gary Ellis, who's South Beach Recycling now. He's still in Bournemouth now. And then we realised that we were driving off to these raves after clubs. The clubs used to close, was it 1 or 2? It had closed early in Bournemouth anyway at that point. And we started driving off to these raves up and off the M25 and things. And we suddenly realised that actually we could be doing parties around Bournemouth and Dorset generally after the clubs closed, and we wouldn't have to travel these long distances unless there was something big going on that we were really interested in. So we started breaking into warehouses and old barns and things and just putting on parties every weekend after Saturday nights. And it was getting to the point where the whole of Bournemouth Square was 3 deep all the way round the square in cars, and cars parked on all the roundabouts going out, waiting for our convoys to go out. And we were having 1.5-mile, 2-mile long convoys going out to various parties and things. And these were pay parties at this point. This was sort of like end of 88, beginning of 89.
So you're tailing off the Summer of Love and was it Sundance? The big
Sundance
parties?
And Fantasy and...
was it Rain Dance? Or there's Sundance
Rain Dance as well, and there's Biology.
Yeah, so you were going...
We'd started off going to those.
Yeah.
And we're back on.
Yeah, I know. I've got Fractals now.
But there are other things going on as well. There was a crew called Technology down in Portsmouth who were based around Stern's nightclub, and they were doing stuff as well. And then there was another crew based around Bournemouth who I forget the name of now. We called ourselves Paradox at this point. Right. And I'd sort of do the organising of it, and Justin and Nige and Gary would play. So there were all these other things going on. And we'd been doing these parties for a while, and we got to the point where we did one at this old Ministry of Defence gym.
Oh, cool.
Which had this lovely parquet floor and everything. It took us about 5 days to clear it, to sweep it all out beforehand, going up every night and avoiding the military police.
Where was this?
This where was it?
Yeah.
It was up near Winchester.
Near Salisbury?
Yeah, between Salisbury and Winchester, somewhere up there. Right. What's it called? Queen Anne's Battery? Oliver's Battery? Can't remember. It's something Battery anyway. Right, okay. And we found this abandoned gym on that site. So,
wicked.
And we got about a few thousand people at that. But it also meant things were getting really on top now. So it ended up, we did one up near the Purbex, and everybody got arrested, apart from me and my brother.
How'd you get away with that?
Pure luck, basically.
Right. Yeah. These things happen.
The fact that we weren't carrying record boxes and things, but we did lose our workmates that we'd used to put the decks on.
Right. Okay. Well.
But yeah, it's just pure luck that we didn't get nicked and everybody else did. Not like, one of them things.
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, we sort of called it for a bit. This is sort of late '89. And we started looking to see what was going on in other places around the area to go to. And we went to a few more pay parties done by other people. And then April 1990, which is what we want to ask me about, we heard about this thing going on Pepperbox Hill, just outside Salisbury. And we knew there was a travellers' site up there. There'd been travellers living there for a while, on and off, And so we went up there for this first time. And they were playing house music, and there was this big black PA there, and turned out that this was a sort of nascent DIY crew.
Oh, right, okay.
This was the first event they did outside of Nottingham, yeah. And they'd been brought down. I think it was by Emma, who later became a DIY DJ. I'm sure she said it was her and Chili Phil. They were all living on this site, and they'd asked them to come down. And of course, they all became one unit after a while.
So is this pre-DIY then?
They were called DIY at this point. By this point, yeah.
But then they had an amalgamation started.
Yeah. And we'd come up, and Justin and Nigel brought their records, so they also blagged a spot to play at this party. And as far as I know, and as far as any of the people involved know, that was the first proper party that was sort of open to people who weren't living on site or friends of the friends of the people playing it, or whatever. First proper free party on a traveller's site. Yeah. And that was organised by a crew who were called PFP, people from Pepperbox, who came from Salisbury, who knew the people on the site. And so I think the accolade of being the people behind the first free party goes to these guys, Ollie and Eric of PFP. Right. Who they were the people who had the idea to actually sort of bring the house sound system scene and the travellers scene together. Although DIY and all of that crew, people like me, we all came from the free festival scene of the sort of late 70s, early 80s anyway. Yeah. But it was the first time that had happened. I think before that there'd been a birthday party called Equinox Rocks that the same people had been involved in organising somewhere further, but that was only for their own friends. It wasn't somewhere the people could go, like clubbers could go and actually sort of stay for the weekend and dance to the music. So and I think there were 2 or maybe 3 up on Pepperbox Hill, and one of them we brought our sound system up to, and more of our DJs played at than the first one, which I think only Justin and Nigel and DIY DJs played at that one. Right. So brilliant. So, and from there, everything just sort of spiraled out of control a bit, really, didn't it?
And it's still going, but it's still going
and
strong
it's still
now.
Going strong now, yeah.
You know? I was asked to play at something a couple of weeks ago, actually, but then it got cancelled due to loads of rigs getting busted. That's a bit of a shame. So I was reading the link you sent me last night for Wikipedia. That's an interesting read.
Some of it's true, some of it's not. As is the way with Wikipedia, you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But
hilariously, the last time I tried to edit it, I got everything reverted for vandalism, so I've given up now. So,
sorry, what was that?
There was one time I did actually try and edit it to get rid of some of the bits that weren't true.
Yeah.
On the rare occasion that I actually look at it.
Yeah.
And all of my stuff got turned back for vandalism. So I'm not allowed to actually edit something that's about myself. So.
Right. That's what they call it, is vandalism.
Yeah, vandalism, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I've had some issues of Wikipedia trying to change some facts about me. I do it, and then it gets reverted back again.
Yeah,
I think, well,
I've just given up now. I just don't look at it, and I find it quite weird and creepy, and I prefer to just pretend it's not there, to be honest.
I kind of forgot all about it, to be honest with you.
I only sent it to you because it gives you a sort of background of a few bits in the first paragraph that we could talk about.
So it said so you were going to put Mighty Force together, but you were living in Plymouth, so you went from Bournemouth to Plymouth.
No. I was running this record shop in Bournemouth.
Right, okay. You didn't own the record shop, but you were running it.
I sort of co-owned it with this guy called Tony, who actually never did anything in it. He just wanted to run a record shop. So he put up some money, and I did I managed the shop and did all the ordering and was there every day. And he just went off and did his own thing. We went to parties at the weekends. It was kind of also because we were doing these clubs and parties too, and we wanted to be able to get all the records easily. So the reason I started a record shop was really just so that we could have all of the really good stuff and the best imports as soon as possible to play at the parties we were doing. And the fact that we could actually sell them to other people as well was just added bonus. Yeah. And at that time, you could actually listen to stuff on the phone and get sent lists of things. You would know every release that's being released because there's so few of them. I know. And every import coming in. Well, it used to be great, didn't it? World.
Tuesday or Wednesday or a certain day, like someone like Amato or Arabesque or someone would phone you up, and then you'd just get played all the tracks down the phone. Yeah. Skip through and go 5, 10, 1, none, and carry on that. And but you heard everything. But for me now, I go on Beatport and it's like, right, I'll go Wednesday to Wednesday, for example. And it's like 500 releases.
It's impossible to keep up with, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, but my OCD, I have to listen to everything because I know I'm not going to like that track, but what if I do? What if for some reason...
Yeah, what if there's one dub or something on that label that is actually really good, though, just that one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. So that was in Bournemouth then?
Yeah, that was in Bournemouth. It was called Orbital Records.
Orbital, okay.
Yes.
Was that a blatant rip-off or just a coincidence?
Because we were going up the Orbital every weekend. I'm 25. And it was before Orbital called themselves Orbital.
Right, okay.
I remember the first Orbital release coming in on Ozone on a white label and thinking, oh, right, they had the same idea as us. But and I did that until sometime in 1990.
Right.
And then the whole party thing was it was all getting a bit weird and dark in the Dorset area. There was Scousers involved and lots of weird drug things going on and people getting stabbed and stuff. And I thought, I need to get out of this. I don't really want to be around this anymore. So, Jessie's parents lived just down near Honiton.
Okay.
Right. So we'd been going down to see them a lot. And decided, I need to move this business somewhere else and use what I've learned to do something bigger and better. And the perfect place was Exeter because all roads converge on Exeter. There was no one doing anything like that south of Bristol. No one doing anything in Plymouth or Cornwall or anywhere.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
Not in late 1990.
Yeah, but you got the M5, the A38, and the A30. All converging.
And it's still near enough to Dorset for people who used to shop with me in Dorset to come down to Exeter if they wanted to.
As well. How did I forget the 303?
Yeah. So it's this perfect place to do it. So we started going down to Wasp Factory and things like that and checking out what was going on. And we got to know Paul and Mark, who ran Wasp Factory, quite well, And just from there, decided to open shop, called it, I can't remember how we came across the name Mighty Force. Really, I think it had something to do with reading something about music being a mighty force somewhere. Right. And possibly as well as the Major Force record label, and I quite liked that as a sort of name. So I thought, I'll just change one word, something along those lines. Anyway, absolutely. I did have a list of other names as well. I wish I still had a piece of paper because it'd probably be hilarious. Yeah, but so I called it Mighty Force. Opened, I think it was February the 14th in 1991.
Oh, right, get on.
Yeah,
brilliant. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So So yeah, was it? There a little character, like a little cartoon character, used to say "Gabba Gabba Hey." That was part of Mighty Force, wasn't it?
Yes, that funny little grasshopper character.
Yeah.
I don't know who. That was Jess's idea. She used to do like all the promotional side of stuff and things.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she came up with this little cartoon grasshopper saying the Ramones kind of catchphrase.
That was it. Yeah, the Ramones catchphrase, isn't it? That's right.
And we used that on loads of stuff for quite a while for the club. Yeah.
So did you? So you started Mighty Force and that, but did you have any involvement in the raves that were going on up Telegraph Hill and Holden Hill at all? Was that just Biff?
Biff did Holden Hill, yeah. I mean, we met Will and Johnny in the Lazy House lot
Johnny lives
as well.
in Wellington.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
All right, okay, yeah. Will lives not far from me, actually.
No, he lives just outside of Crediton, doesn't he?
Yeah. So we met them before I'd started the shop, and we'd been going to a few of their parties as well.
Lazy House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like somehow got involved with bringing DIY down to do parties down here as well. It's all a bit cloudy now because for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, we got DIY coming down because we'd done a few things in Dorset with them around, and obviously, and so they started coming all the way down from Nottingham to the southwest as well, and somehow connected with Circus Warp and. I honestly can't remember exactly how it all came together, but we got involved with like all of the different free party crews who were doing things all around Somerset and Devon and down into Cornwall as well. And somehow the shop became this sort of place, the place you would phone up on sort of Saturdays to find out where a party was going on, and we would know because everybody who was organising things would tell us what was going on and where it was, so we would know about everything, you know. And we were getting like 400 calls on a Saturday sometimes, you know. One person had to just sit at the desk, all day, and one person just had to sit at a desk and answer all these calls.
Was that Lee Waller?
We'd take it in turns. We'd take it in turns because no one wanted to be on the phone all day.
No, I bet. If it's just non-stop though, it was
non-stop all day at some points. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
With people as far away as Oxford and things, you know, and all the parties going on up at Oxford at that point as well. You know, we basically knew about everything that was going on the south of England, you know.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's a good position to be in, you know. You know what you're doing. But so when did you start doing bounce? Was it Volt? It was Volts, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Volts. Yes, well, Bounce I think was the third night, and we just asked DIY to come down and do then Bounce was their club in Venus in Nottingham.
Oh right, okay.
So we just asked them if they wanted to come down and do a Bounce in Exeter.
Yeah,
and I think we ended up doing one a month for a long time with various different DIY affiliated DJs coming down and playing it. Did you do Volts every Wednesday night? We did Volts every Wednesday night.
Right. Okay.
Ages.
Yeah.
The first ever one was Andy Weatherall. Then we were the first people to bring down loads of people like John De Silva, Graham Park, Smoking Joe,
John Kelly,
Billy
Nasty.
I remember
seeing Billy Nasty there. He was fucking off the hook.
Yeah. So we did it every Wednesday for years and years, and weekend would start on Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
go somewhere else on Thursday, go somewhere else on Friday.
Free party Saturday.
Free party Saturday. Get home Sunday night or Monday morning. Sleep for the rest of Monday. Have Tuesday as a normal. Open Tuesday as a normal day, and then start it all again. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I didn't have a job. I was unemployed at the time, and I don't know how people could hold a job and go raving. I mean, fucking loads of speed, obviously, but you know, generally. That's what it was like down in Devon. We started Wednesday night.
Week. Wednesday night was the start of the weekend every week for 4 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good times. I mean, I used to live in Clyst St Mary, which is just outside of, like, kind of, you know where it is probably, but you could go the Exmouth Road, but you hang a right and go up towards Sidmouth, and it's up there. And I remember one night, I think it's after Volts, we had Tonka sound system turn up in our garden. And we used to live, where is it? Creeley Lodge. Do you know where Creeley Lodge is? Or I think it's Creeley Adventure Park now.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know if they've got
where it is, rides and everything, but they've got a petting zoo, I think, and stuff like that. But there's a little pink house on the edge where the gate is. Well, that's where I lived, and I don't know how it transpired, but we did a party Wednesday night. I mean, the landlords weren't very happy at all. They come round and said, "What the fuck are you doing? And what are these fucking buses doing outside that look like they're travellers?" Well, they are travellers, like, you know, but they'll be gone tomorrow. You know, they're not here parked up for the duration at all. But I don't know how that transpired. That it turned out doing that.
I wonder if that had something to do with Mark and Paul Voss Factory, because they were really good mates with all the Tonka crew.
Right. Okay. I think they might come down and done a Wednesday night for you, though.
They may have even come down and done a Wednesday night for us. I can't remember, to be honest.
No, I can't. Certainly that night was very vague. But I know that's the first night I met Scary Rich, because he was DJing in my front garden. But that's about what I remember.
Thinking about it, we did do something up in Honiton. There was some little nightclub up in Honiton.
Right.
And we did a couple of things up there, and I think the Tonka crew might have come down for that, so it might have been one of them.
Maybe. Yeah. I saw a picture of the Tonka sound system on, like, there was a meme or something on Facebook last night, and it said, or maybe this morning, it said, if you danced by this wall, you can't hear anymore. And it's just a wall, right? But all the bins are yellow with Tonka stenciled into them.
Oh, yeah, famous Tonka rig. It's out in California now.
Is it?
Yeah.
What are they doing out there?
I think Garth and Marky took it out when they went out back in the mid to late 80s.
Right.
So
are they still out there?
They're still out there now.
Whereabouts are they? They didn't do Spunday, did they?
I can't remember what the name of their lot is now, but they took the rig, I know that, and they're based up in the Bay Area.
Right, so San Francisco area then.
Yeah.
Right. Have you ever been to Spunday?
No.
I remember a Facebook thread or something years ago. I'm sure you were on it, or you started it, and we were talking about Spunday. Because I've played at Spunday years and years ago. There's a conversation about it, but I can't remember what it was. But that was a massive night. It was a massive night before I played there. It died down a lot by the time I'd ended up playing there. That's in San Francisco.
That's in San Francisco.
I don't know where. Somewhere, Tenderloin, something like that.
Right. No, I mean, I was in San Francisco summer of '93 with DIY when they went out there that time. Took some time out from the shop.
So you toured with DIY over in America? Or was it just San Francisco?
Toured around San Francisco.
Right. And back again. How long were you out there for?
I can't remember now. It's a few weeks, though.
Did you see a lot of San Francisco, or were you just going from squat to squat?
No. They'd rented a flat on Divisadero.
Right, okay.
Sort of between Castro and Mission, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so we're all based there, and then in the daytime we'd wander off and do whatever we're doing, and then at nighttime go to whatever gig there was happening. So, and end up at the end of it.
I've fucking been at the end up. I got chucked out at the end up.
Really?
Yeah. I was fucked up, man.
It's quite hard to be chucked out at the end up.
I got. Oh, I'm not going to go into it. It's slightly embarrassing, but I was chucked out at the end up, and left unconscious on the side of the pavement. I'd like downed a pint of vodka or something. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if you get chucked out at the end up, you're a fucking hero, like, because no one does. But
I've got some photographs of me and Pete and Rick and Jack in the end up on my Facebook page.
All right, cool. I'll check them out. That'd be interesting to see.
Did
you ever go down, like in the daytime? Did you ever go down to the piers and stuff like that? Did you have a good look around?
Yeah, I went and had a look around everywhere. But a lot of the time we spent up sort of around Castro and things. Going through the record stores and just buying up old disco and stuff.
Is that up on Mission? Yeah.
Castro Castro's the other way. It was going in the opposite direction.
Oh, right, okay.
It's sort of you go up towards Haight, and then instead of turning right onto Haight, you turn left up to Castro.
Oh, right, okay.
As far as I remember, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a fucking long time ago. I'm not going to try and add up how long it's been, but like I was roughly around 28. I'm 49 now, and I was roughly about 28. So what's that? 19 years, something like that. I don't know. I just made a fool of myself probably trying to add up in my head then. But I went out there. Well, I'm not going to go say where I went out there, but I went out there and thought, well, while I'm out there, I was out there for 2 weeks, I think. I'm going to put a biog together, and I had a few releases out by then as well. I think Bionic Orange was maybe its third release, and I'd done a remix for Urban Collective. So I had four releases out, something like that anyway. So I took a load of releases out and put a little bar together with loads of flyers and everything. And one day I started at the bottom of Mission, and I think I walked to the end of Haight, basically Haight Street, because there's still record shops down there. I think there's a record shop called UFO Records.
Yeah,
does that ring a bell?
That rings a bell.
Yeah, I think that was there. Been there for a long time, and then was there a long time after as well. But every shop I went in, I introduced myself, DJ from the UK. Here's my biography, and it's just like there's also photocopies of flyers that I played on, mixtapes, releases, stuff that I wasn't trying to sell records or distribute records. I was trying to sell myself to get a gig, basically. And I hit every single record shop down that street, down Haight. I'm pretty sure it's Haight. Haight just finishes on a dead end, I think. Some points there's a big bank and a big park at the bottom of Haight as well.
There is a big park, definitely. Yeah, I can't remember I can't remember the geography of the place particularly well now.
I don't even know what I'm trying to remember. But yeah, I went down there, and then I was over there, and an ex was over there as well, doing was it not Child Mind? I can't remember. She's basically a nanny for American Kid, right? Au pair, whatever it's called. And she put me in contact with her friend John, probably because I was being annoying at the time and wanting to get me out of her hair for the night. So he took me out for the night. But he was a promoter, and he was a Deadhead as well. So he had spent years going around following the Grateful Dead, and then got into dance music, and then started putting on gigs and that. But then we went out for a night and we hit it off, and I gave him some records and a biography like you do. And then about a month later, he rung me up and said, I've put a tour together for you. And that was my first tour of the States. And I went back, about 4 months later, I went back and I was there for a month. I was based in, where was I based? Kansas City, I think it was. So flying out of Kansas. And I was there for a month. I don't know how many gigs I had, but that was the first time. So I flew into Cleveland, and I've done a gig in Cleveland, then flew on to Kansas and met with this guy and stayed at his house. And then I think 6 months after that, 4, 5, 6 months after that, I did another gig. I did another tour. That was 6 weeks. I did 28 gigs in 6 weeks.
Blimey.
I was doing, that's including things like radio shows as well, though. So I'd maybe I'd do a radio, Toronto one night. I did a radio show, then went on and did this rave, and then played the after party, and then went home. So that'll be 3 in that night. I did Much Music, which is their equivalent to MTV as well, and then fucking fucked off down to Niagara, did another gig down there, and then come back and did another gig. The worst weekend, not the worst weekend, kind of the best weekend, but the most intense weekend I had over there was I played in Montreal. Then we drove down to Toronto and played a thing called I Dance, which is this demo outside the Parliament buildings in the afternoon. I played there, then went straight to the airport, flew over to Calgary, which is the other side of Canada, played another gig there, and then drove across town and played another gig there, and then across town and did an after party. So that was quite an intense weekend, but that wasn't part of that tour. But that's how I got into San Francisco and everything anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, I only really go there as a passing thing now because my brother lives down in Carmel.
Oh, really? So you still go back there then?
So I haven't since the recent administration.
Yeah.
But I will be going back again.
Oh, wicked.
So yeah, I used to go there.
Do you like San Francisco?
I love San Francisco.
I mean, like for me, every time I haven't been there for years, but like when I used to go there, and I used to go there quite a bit. I was fortunate to get like booked in Oakland or in San Francisco quite a lot, and I just found the whole city's got this amazing aura about it. Like there's one part that you can stand and you see most of the city, and it's just got this like
that knob hill,
aura glow about it, and it's everything. So, I mean, I'm bleeding. Apparently, it's you can't see the camera. Fucking no face, like. My friend lives in Bay Area. He says it's not like how it used to be at all. It's just full of IT wankers now, and they're quite bro-ish and steroided up and stuff like that. So it's a shame, I guess.
Yeah, but everything changes.
Everything does change. I mean, some things change for the better, some change for the worse, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah.
So,
But well, I quite like Carmel and like that area, so I'm quite happy to go through San Francisco.
Where is Carmel then?
It's about halfway between San Francisco and LA on the coast.
Okay.
Where Clint Eastwood used to be mayor.
I can see it. Is it dripping now? I can see it dripping
yeah,
down.
you are a bit, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I'll write it out, be professional about it. So, you say this present climate and that, are you a mask wearer or not a mask wearer?
I'm a mask wearer, because I don't really see any reason not to.
Well, I'm like that as well. I mean, if the person beside me is stressed out because I'm not wearing a mask, I prefer just to wear the mask. Personally, I don't. Exactly. It doesn't inhibit my breathing. It doesn't inhibit me at all. You know, and
no,
if it makes people feel comfortable, I'll wear one. Yeah. My problem is that I just constantly forget it. So I'm just doing this around all the time, mooching about, looking like a bank robber.
Luckily, the Spa, which is the only sort of supermarket type place in the little town I live in, is only 2 minutes walk from my house. So if I do that, I forgot my mask. I don't have far to go.
Right. So what do you think about all the conspiracies about the mask, the COVID and that? I mean, do you think it's...
Oh, God, are we going to go there?
Well, we can touch in. I mean, I don't really want to, but maybe we can dip in and just fuck off out again.
I fear that a lot of the conspiracy stuff that's going on and a lot of the, quite frankly, insane theories and accusations and things that are going on right now are leading us down a route that could lead to a fairly nasty regime. And I don't really want to go into that particularly more than that. But if you're asking me about QAnon, I think that's utter nonsense, and it's got an agenda that has nothing at all to do with what it sounds like it is.
Well, now you've mentioned QAnon, I'm not going to go into it, but do you think, I mean, like, it's coming out now that they're a racist sort of crew or group or racially motivated? I mean, do you think that at all?
I think most of the people who are actually on the ground involved in it don't really understand and don't know what they are actually involved in.
Right, okay.
And the people who are behind it.
I think a lot of people that are sharing stuff like on Facebook especially, they don't understand how can I put it? They don't understand the ins and outs of certain things. They see something, read the first couple, and I'm guilty of it as well. You read the first couple of sentences, think, well, that's a bit of me. That is, I'll share that, and then like a couple of paragraphs down, you didn't get that far, and you start reading that it's not part of you at all. And I think people sharing this information, albeit being positive, and they want to be positive, and they've got all of the best intentions, are actually making things worse for the people that they're trying to make things better for. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Because definitely. It's false information. It's disinformation.
It's false information. It's making actual child protective services find it much harder to do their job because of all of this other stuff that's obviously not true going on. But I think when you look at something like this phenomenon, you have to look at can I find out who is behind it and what is their agenda?
Yeah.
And is their agenda anything to do with what they're actually promoting as the actual, what they're promoting is what they're campaigning against? And I think with QAnon, if you look at it, you find out, well, like, how come there are no, like, right-wing people who are being targeted by QAnon? They're not saying any of those people are evil Satanists who drink children's blood. It's only the more liberal people, or the more sort of like the Hollywood people who generally, traditionally don't support the Republican Party or whatever. So
it's an interesting view on it. That I never really thought about that. I mean, I did see something called Full Cabal on YouTube. And I got sucked right into it. There's 10
I've watched Fall of the Cabal. Yeah,
that was fucking brilliant. Like, for entertainment reasons, anyway.
Yes, it's entertaining.
I mean, I did get sucked in. I mean, like I want what's his mate Kennedy to appear at the end and save the world, and everyone's fine and happy in that. But the reality is fucking.
I think
not
everybody
there
wants someone to appear and save the world, don't they? Really? I mean, that'd be great.
Well,
but it ain't going to happen,
was going to do that, but
No.
like he didn't get his chance, did he? Unfortunately. All right, let's get off that then.
Yes.
I just sort of like went in, and we'll come straight back out then. So you did a lot of time with DIY. Well, you did San Francisco. Is there any other tours that you did with DIY?
No. I mean, we just like we became friends and sort of like loosely knit together somehow in a way. So we with DIY DJs came and played for Mighty Force Club, and some of the DJs who were sort of around the shop and things went off and played with them in various places around the country too, along with the Lazy House guys. Some of them did too. I suppose because we met them very early on, like. And by the time they were starting coming down to the southwest, I'd already known them for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it was a very loose sort of association where we just sort of like were into the same music, did the same,
Yeah.
and so enjoyed the same sort of things. And so I went up to Nottingham a bit. They came down here a bit. We met in parties, and met at parties all over the country, and just did what we did, really.
Yeah, brilliant. So how did you meet and get involved with Aphex Twin then? Because did he do the first release?
He did the first release on the Mighty Force label. I actually wasn't even planning on a record label at all until I heard that.
Well, you just turn up and go, you need to start a record label.
Actually, no.
Release.
Tom Middleton turned up.
Right. Where's Tom from? Is he from Cornwall?
He's from Cornwall originally, yeah.
There's a rumour that he was like part of Aphex Twin. Is that true?
He was part. Well, no, he was a production partner with Richard for some of the stuff right at the beginning. Yes.
Right.
And there's one track on the EP that I released, which was Tom and Richard together.
Right.
And when we did Tom's release, Richard also co-produced that, although he's not credited on it for various reasons. But so yes, Tom was originally working with Richard, and Richard taught Tom how to sort of use the equipment and things to begin with. And they were also doing this club called it's actually a back room of a pub near Newquay called the Bowgie,
right?
Which is one of the most insane places you could possibly go.
Is it?
Yeah, well, it was at that point. Now it's just grannies having cream teas, but back then, like at the weekend, the Bowgie was just insane because there's all these people from all over Cornwall, whatever, all coming into this little back room, and there's Richard and Tom playing techno and stuff and electro, and Richard's made, and the Psychonauts also played there, I think, if I remember correctly.
Right.
We went on to be on Mowax. I think it was the Psychonauts. Anyway, yeah, fairly sure it was the Psychonauts. So it's this insane little place in the middle of nowhere in Cornwall with all of these people who are going to go on later to be huge stars.
Yeah, right.
But I hadn't met Richard anyway at this point. Tom actually brought in a cassette. He'd been buying records off me, and he actually brought in a cassette of Richard's stuff. And he's saying, you just have to listen to this. This is my friend Richard. Have a listen and see what you think. And I'd never heard anything like it at all. Like nothing at all. I couldn't say, oh, this sounds like Shades of Rhythm or something like that. It just didn't sound like any music I'd ever heard, but it was obviously techno and obviously danceable.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, okay, looks like we're starting a record label then. Then went through the almost impossible process of off this C90 cassette, picking out 4 tracks.
Oh wow! Did you have to? You didn't have to cut off the C90 there, obviously.
Yep, we did.
Did you?
Well, no, not exactly. What we did was we actually took the C90, got into a studio, got it mastered onto F1, which at the time was kind of still industry standard, which was actually a Betamax cassette, if you remember F1.
Yeah.
So yeah, we found some little studio in Exeter that would master it onto F1, and we cut off the Betamax that had been mastered off the cassette.
Wow. Okay.
So,
who used to do that? Did you ever use loud mastering?
I've never used Loud. No, I can't remember who did it at that point. No, Mark and Tom went on to always use Loud, and they still do. They still do now for all the re-release of the global stuff that's just happening now.
Oh wow, okay.
That was all recut and remastered at Loud. So.
It's his son that's carried on doing it now, isn't it? I can't remember his name now.
John was
John Dent, that's it.
John Dent and Jason, I think.
Jason Dent is it?
Yeah.
Wow, because he cut the first Bionic Orange one. He's fucking lovely, he was. I really liked him. He had a really nice setup as well. It's all man stuff, wasn't it? All man outboard stuff. It sounded great. Which I don't think I've seen the stuff that he had in his studio and anyone else's studio. I've used a few. But he definitely had his own sound.
I had everything cut at Abbey Road, actually, just because I wanted to do it at Abbey Road.
Why not? You know? Well, you remember Mark Dolly? He works at Funky Junk, right? And I went in there, well, years ago now, but I went in there one day and I was like, what's that? And he goes, oh, that's the mixing desk from Abbey Road. Really nonchalant about it. And it had, you know, your general mixing desk, I've got one down there, but like faders and that. This had the smashy and nicely rock on sort of like volume controls that come over in and out, and like a sort of a half moon or a semicircle. Yeah, it's quite cool seeing it. I think it's Neve. I think it was a Neve desk in there. They're not fucking cheap. 25 grand a channel or something like that. Yeah. So that was the first Mighty Force
and that actually
release then.
Give credit where it's due. That was cut at Porky's.
Was it?
Yeah.
But did Paul do it?
I can't remember now,
right?
To be honest, because it's so long ago.
Yeah.
That was I got to go to Porky's, who did all the sort of early punk stuff as well. So I was quite excited about that. So
yeah. Oh, wicked. So was that Aphex's first release?
That was Aphex's first ever release.
Wow, okay.
And that was September 1991, I believe.
You've got such a good memory for dates.
No, I looked it up on Discogs. I couldn't tell you when it was at all if I hadn't looked it up,
brilliant.
honestly.
So you were doing your research about yourself last night.
Well, I didn't want to get that one wrong, really. No,
I guess not. So he went on to. Like, did he do any others for Mighty Force? Or was just the first one?
We were going to, but then Colin Favour and Gordon Matthewman got him to do Didgeridoo on Rabbit City, which wasn't called Didgeridoo then; it was called Aboriginal Mix.
Right.
So they had more money than me. Yeah. So he went off and did that, and then from there he got signed to R&S.
Right.
And
that's
then
the rest of history. Right.
Lots went on after that, obviously, but couldn't compete with Renard. So
that was Colin Favour's label, Rabbit City, then, was it?
Yeah, Colin Favour and Gordon Matthewman, he was Razor Boy, Mirror Man, who did the cutter and things as well.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a techno label, though, was it? Was it more?
It was more of a hardcore label, really.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I definitely remember Rabbit City. I can't remember any release on it.
I mean, the first one was Cutter.
Right.
Blow, Cutter. It's like sort of hardcore with a trumpet on it because Gordon's a trumpeter.
Right.
And he actually was one of the guys behind the absolutely legendary hedonism parties up in London. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
No, I haven't.
But right at the beginning of everything.
Right. Okay.
Hedonism. So.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So, Tom Middleton then. I got to know Tom because he came in with Richard's. Yeah, and he did Spirit Catcher. Was that for one of your labels?
No, Spirit Catcher was on Evolution later on.
Who owned? What's the history of Evolution?
Evolution is still Tom and Mark's own label.
Okay.
They started off.
Is that Mark Herbert?
Mark Pritchard.
Oh, Pritchard. That's it. Sorry. Yeah.
Who's signed to Warp now, but they also still have their Evolution label going. As I say, they just started off again with the reissue campaign, which is all sounding lovely. But yeah, so Evolution was a separate thing altogether, which Mark set up after he started off as Shaft, and that's when I first met him. We brought in this EP of sort of quite Detroity techno, and somehow I helped him get it distributed, I think, down to with Great Asset, who I used to deal with, which were based in Portsmouth. And then through Great Asset, through the money he made from Shaft, which was also doing Monkey and Rhubarb and Custard and things on top of the pops, he set up his studio, bought loads of synths and set up the Evolution label with Tom, and they started releasing all of the very early global stuff, but they were Lincoln E621 and Reload then.
Right, okay. So Mark Pritchard was Shaft and
he was Shaft who did Rhubarb and Custard and Monkey, yeah.
And is he from Exeter as well?
He's from Yeovil.
Yeovil?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
He lived down the road from PJ Harvey, actually.
Oh, shit. I mean, if you gather, if you get all the information together, I mean, generally, people think, well, music, Manchester, you think London. immediately you think Liverpool, obviously, Beatles and whatnot, but you never think of Exeter or the Southwest. But like there was a hell of a lot
going on, and a lot of really talented people came out of the Southwest. Yeah, and
especially Torquay.
Yeah, and Torquay, and still now there are people in Torquay doing some great stuff.
Well, I don't know did you ever meet Dave Parkinson?
Dave Parkinson.
He was Wargroover on Semtex Records.
Yeah, that rings a bell, but I don't know whether we actually met or not. I'm not really sure.
Well, he engineered my first string of. But before I moved to London, basically I was using his studio because it was a lot better than mine. So he is engineering all my stuff. But he went on years later to be the keyboardist in Happy Mondays.
Really?
Yeah, he did a stint, and I tell everyone that. I'm quite chuffed about that. But yeah, I don't know how long he lasted, but he was in Happy Mondays for a little bit.
You'd have to have a lot of stamina to last very long.
Yeah, yeah, right. But like Scorpio still in Torquay, I think. The McGowans. Worm. I don't know what happened to Worm.
Worm is now Oral Imbalance, and he does stuff on Stasis Records. And actually, he's done a tune for me that will be on one of my Acid compilations at some point very soon. I think it's a 6th volume, which will be sort of later in the year.
Oh, right, cool.
But yeah, he's Oral Imbalance now.
Oral Imbalance.
He's very good. You should check him out.
Well, he was very
spacey kind of techno.
He was very good back then.
Yeah,
because like when I first met him, he was coming round to Dave's place because he'd just been. I don't know if he got signed to Good Looking, but Good Looking had asked him for demos, or he was about to give Good Looking demos. He got on Good Looking. I know I think he got a couple of releases on. It's Bookham's label, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got a couple of releases on Bookham's label. Very sort of like laid back, chilled drum and bass, I guess. Yeah, I think Dave did as well, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Tom and Mark had one as well.
Did they?
Link Chameleon, yeah.
Oh, right. So that's good. I'd like Spirit Catcher on digital, actually.
Yeah,
no one's got it. I've got it. No one else seems. No one. If I play it, no one's.
That was one of the ones when I went to after Mighty Force. I went to work for Rough Trade for a bit, the distribution arm of Rough Trade, and I got Tom and Mark a distribution deal there, and I was their label manager on the distribution marketing side at Rough Trade, and Spirit Catcher was one of the ones that came out during that particular bit of history, and that was Tom by himself as Mod Wheel.
Modwheel, that's it. I mean, I got it on white. Oh, I had it. I haven't got it. I don't even own a record anymore. I own about 4, I think. But I had it on white label. But I thought I bought it from you.
No, that happened after the shop closed.
Maybe it's Brave New. Maybe it was Leah bought it off and Brave New World. Then.
Lee, yeah.
All right. So that was Mighty Force. Then you went up to London and worked for Rough Trade.
Yeah.
How long did you last there?
Not that long. I think it's about 2 years or something. And then Rough Trade got into financial, not Rough Trade, the label, the distribution side of things, which was a separate company, got into a bit of financial trouble.
Was the label and distribution all the different entities?
They were all different entities, yes. The actual distribution side was actually owned by the KLF Communications, and a cartel of record shops, independent record shops called the Cartel.
When you said the Cartel earlier, I was just like, oh, fuck me, the Sinaloa Cartel.
I know. There are a cartel of independent record shops called the Cartel.
Right.
And that all went a bit tits up, and they ended up being bought by Vital, who were just down the road. And I didn't go on to Vital. I went on to Amato. I think we've already mentioned Vital already.
Yeah.
I had various adventures there for a while.
Did you say you met Sean in Amato?
Amato, yeah. Sean Ribbs actually was working for Amato too.
Oh, he was there already.
I can't remember if he started at the same time as me or just after or whatever. But yeah.
Did oh my God, fuck me, his name come in and then just gone again. Ramos. Did Ramos work for Amato?
I couldn't tell you
offhand.
I mean, so many people have gone. Amato was like this sort of rite of passage you have to go through, really.
Yeah.
In the London distribution industry, so many people have worked there.
Oh, every month I had to go down there because it was in a trade. Was it in a trading estate, sort of on the outskirts of London, wasn't it?
It was on a trading estate, just sort of near Ladbroke Grove.
Oh, was it?
Sort of near Kensal Rise, yes.
I know it's far from me.
Subterranea, the club there.
I lived in Greenwich, and I knew it was a trek. All I remember is it was a trek to get there from where I was.
Great place to work for like location because you've got Portobello and Ladbroke Grove down there and things, and it's just
yeah. Well, I had to go there once a month and just sit there for an hour until they gave my check, and then I'd leave. It was all of that, you ring up and go, can I get paid? Yeah, it's in the post. Yeah, it's in the post. And then like 4 or 5 of them, and it's like, right, go up to Tomato, then sit there. Tomato, we used to call him. Go there, sit there, and they'd make me sit there for 2 or 3 hours, but I wasn't budging, and they weren't paying the check, and then they wanted to go home, and they couldn't leave me in the office, so they have to give me a check, and I'd go home. Probably only about £600-700, but like it's the principle, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
I needed that to get the next release
Yeah.
out. So
Exactly.
yeah. So basically, you got Sean in there, or
possibly. Yeah. I know Mickey Moff also went and worked there for a while.
Who's Mickey Moff?
Mickey Moff. He used to work in the shop. Michael Brown. He used to Clinton and Mickey. Mickey, if you remember Clinton and Mickey, who played sort of housey disco sets at various things.
I don't know if I do.
Anyway, there are a few. There's a little West Country contingent working there.
Still,
yeah,
West Country,
West Country, yeah.
Yeah, wicked. So,
and around that time as well, I re-met Justin, who back from the Bournemouth days,
right? Okay.
And he was then just beginning to start recording as Freaks with Luke Solomon,
right?
We put out the first couple of 12 inches that they did together as well, but they did those because they'd signed Freaks as an entity to Phono, I think it was.
Right.
We did those as Robotic Movement.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and they were doing Space down at Bar Rumba at that point as well.
Oh, I remember Bar Rumba. They used to do happy hours, and you could buy like 2 in the afternoon.
Pictures, yeah.
picture of Long Island Nice 2 for a tenner or something.
Yes, that's a dangerous place to be in, Bar Rumba.
Yeah, because then the Chocoladero's only just down the road, isn't it? So you just smash a picture, and then go down to the Chocodero and just like.
Actually, we go to Bar Rumba sometimes on Mondays for James the Val thing,
right?
And Giles Peterson, that's how it is. And Wednesdays.
Do you know Giles? Do you?
No, I don't. No,
right.
Not at all. No, I did meet James because Ben Drury, who did like lots of artwork for me and the shop and whatever, he ended up being the art director for Mowax.
Right. Okay.
And he was also married to Jess's sister for you. It still is. So he's my brother-in-law. But anyway, yes. What was I saying? Yeah, we go to Bar Rumba for Space on Wednesdays, and then we hit Thursdays. We go out for Stealth,
right,
for the Ninja Tune night, which
right.
I still think is probably the best club night that ever existed.
Right,
that was up in Hoxton.
Right, cool.
So it was all like being in Devon all over again. You'd be out almost all the time, and God knows how we managed it. Really,
I used to love it. At the beginning, when I first moved to London, I used to love it because yeah, it was just always something going on, but especially around Christmas, so.
I was just about to say about Christmas. Yeah. It started about like the first week of December, and then it was nearly every night right through until New Year, wasn't it?
And it was free bar, so one night, if we DJ Mag Christmas party, then the Mix Mag Christmas party, then someone else's Christmas party, then a label's Christmas party, and then such and such, and then you hear about someone else, you get invited to someone else. And it's just constant. Yeah. It's all free bars as well. I tell you, the DJ Mag Christmas party. Obviously, I can't remember what year it was, but it was at Brick Lane. Not Turn Mills, Truman Brewery? That's it.
Yeah, 93 Foot East down there.
Something like that. Yeah. But like the Truman Brewery in Brick Lane, at the top of Brick Lane. Now, Smitten Records and David Drummer's studio, The Punishment Farm, was in there, so I was up there.
Loads of labels and things based around there, weren't there?
Yeah, so I was up there quite a lot, right?
I spent a lot of time up there as well.
Yeah, and I remember one night I'm living in Devon, right, and I'm coming up to do a remix for Smitten in Giza Studios, and I come up the night before. It's just something like it's all. My memory is not great. It's all rolling into one as well, but anyway. DJ Mag are having their Christmas party at the Truman Brewery, right? And they've got a red carpet out and everything, all the fake flames. They've got those lights with the bits of cloth that make it look like fake flames and everything, right? And all going down. People coming in and they got the little board up and people taking photos of people walking down the red carpet. I turned up. I got a duvet, a pillow, and I think just a rucksack or something, like looking like shit, but just like walking down the red carpet really excited. But I remember that because it's a free bar. I think it was sponsored by Holston. and we just nicked so much beer. I mean, like Smitten offices, there's about 15, 16 crates of Holston in there. And I think it lasted Steve a good 6 months of beer, constant beer drinking, basically. Because we'd go down there, have a couple of cans, see a crate, pick the crate up, go back to the office, dump it, come back down, do it all again. We were just ferrying crates up there all night.
The days of free bars and expenses. That was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when there was money in dance. Well, I'm sure there is still money in dance music, but there was money, even the low level.
There was one Rough Trade Christmas party where, I ended up buying Reflex, a bottle of Krug, and I got in a lot of trouble for that the next day when I had to put in my expenses claim.
Right, so, what's Krug? Is
that it's a rather expensive champagne.
Oh, right. How much is it?
I can't remember now. It was a lot of money because I was paying bar prices as well.
Right.
So I just whacked it on expenses.
Wasn't it great?
I got called into the office the next day. The guys who did the finances there's Johnny, Money Mark and Johnny Cash.
Right.
And,
Great
and they gave me a hell of a bollocking, but I got away with it. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, those for me, those are the best days in dance music. There's obviously a lot of money at the top, but there's a lot of money down the bottom as well. And everyone's getting paid, and everyone's showing off as well, and flashing it, and that, and it's just fucking good. London was just fucking brilliant back then. Yeah, I mean, I fell out of London now. I fell out with London, out of love with London now. I don't want to go back.
No, I would never go back. No,
but there was a time where it's fucking brilliant, and I would never have missed. If I'd have been gutted if I'd missed that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. That sort of that mid to late 90s going into the very first bit of the 2000s was fantastic.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It opened my mind. Just the whole culture really opened my mind. But being from Crediton, and then going into Exeter, so the biggest city I knew was Exeter. And then being from Crediton, if you knew someone that moved to Exeter, you'd be like, oh, moved to Exeter? He's hard as fuck now. He knows people in Exeter, So, going to London was just a fucking eye-opener, basically. But I just like the whole... I know it sounds weird, but I like the whole cafe culture. People went to cafes for their lunch and hang out and sit there. We didn't do that in Crediton. There's no cafes in Crediton to do. So it's all very new for me. And these wonderful foods like chicken and avocado, which I didn't really get in Crediton, I know it sounds stupid and I'm embarrassing myself now, but it was a great time to be alive in London. That's
and
an experience.
You could go out by yourself and be guaranteed that there'd be 30 people you knew when you got there, wherever it was you were going or something,
Or if you you'd guarantee someone that looked similar to you into the same sort of things like the squat scene or something like that would be there. And because they look similar, you'd get on with them. You'd gravitate to people, even if you didn't know anyone. You gravitate to people and make friends, and it's all great. It's just not really like that. I don't know. I haven't been up there. But
I haven't been back for a while, actually. No.
Haven't you?
No.
When did you move back? Did you move to Cornwall?
I moved to Cornwall because
that's quite a change, isn't it? Devon. London, Cornwall.
Balham to Cornwall.
Balham, right? That's South London, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
There's a record pressing plant in Balham as well. I can't remember what it's called though.
Funnily enough, I ended up actually after sort of separating from my first wife, I ended up living around the corner from what used to be Record Corner, which I bought all of the American imports from in my first shop.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I can't remember what I was saying now. Yes, when did I lose? Anyway, I met my now wife Emma, who I'd actually known from the old Stonehenge Festival days. I first met her back then, and we re-met. And I went and lived with her in Cornwall for a bit.
Was she from Cornwall?
No, she's from Bournemouth too, but she'd ended up living in Cornwall for various reasons.
So we lived re-met. And you went down there. Whereabouts in Cornwall was that then?
It was a tiny little place called Trevarron, which is a hamlet about 8 miles east of Newquay. There's nothing there at all apart from some houses and some tattooists. And
so you're putting into the local trade,
yes. And lived there for about 2-3 years, and then we decided to move back up towards Exeter because I was getting music stuff going again. That was in 2017.
Oh, right.
So when
you
I
moved
did
back up to Exeter area in 2017.
When I started getting everything back together and did the Mighty Force Awakens night in Exeter.
Yeah.
Because by then people started sending me music. Well, they'd never stopped.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I really need to actually start doing this again now. So we did the Mighty Force Awakens night for charity for the homeless and everything, and that was to announce, hey, it's back now. And then it actually took about another year to get a record label going again.
Right. Okay. So did you move from Cornwall to where you are now?
Yeah, we moved from Cornwall to where I am now, which is a little village between like Oakhampton and Crediton.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention it just in case people start tracking you down, tracking demos for your bricks for your window. Like,
its claim to fame is that Jennifer Saunders did some sitcom based there, and there are still people wandering around saying, "I was an extra in this German Jerusalem," and that's kind of their.
Was German Jerusalem
based in there? In that town.
I nearly said
in
it
that
then.
Town. Yes.
I funded the CAF in that town.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
Kirsty's. It's
that
no
person,
longer Kirsty's.
Yeah, that person that's no longer in there. Yeah, I put some money into that. I mean, I got it back. I wasn't actually an investor. I just lent.
I only got to know her just at the sort of end of her tenure there. There.
Has she sold it then?
She sold it now, I think. Well, it's changed its name to someone else's cafe now. So.
Right, okay. Maybe sold it to someone going concern.
Yeah, she's living in Tinker's Bubble, isn't she?
Yeah, I got Nick coming in. Nick, her husband.
Excellent.
He's going to come in and rap on the mic as well.
Excellent.
But he's an interesting guy.
And they seemed really interesting. I didn't get to know them well enough before they left, unfortunately. So.
Proper ravers.
I could tell that.
Yeah.
That's how I got talking to her in the first place, yes.
Yeah. So they used to be regulars at my night at the Burston. Did you ever go to the Burston?
I don't think so, no.
No, might have been. I don't know if it's before. No, I must have. No, it was around the same. It was around the same time that you had Mighty Force. I
probably didn't have the time.
No, absolutely. Do you go to Bow? You go past Bow to go home,
I went past Bow to get here today, yes.
Yeah. Right, you know the Londis?
Yeah.
That's where my night used to be.
Oh, right.
Right,
okay.
Where the cigarette stand is, I think, or something, is where the DJs used to be. But it used to be a pub. I can't remember. Oh, my God, I can't remember what it's called now. But there's another back bar or back room situation there. But the funny thing is, right, I used to go there when it used to be a disco when I was a scooterist, right? And I used to get beaten up by the Okie bikers and chucked out because it was the only place in the area that was open till 1. Everything else was like 11:30, 12 or something like that at the time. And then I started doing helping out and doing free parties with people. And then I remembered this place in Bow. And I thought, right, well, I wonder if they'll let me do something. So I turned up there one day and said, I want to do a party. I don't say I want to do a rave or anything. I want to do a party there. He goes, yeah, that's fine, mate. You keep the door, I'll keep the bar. And I thought, yep, that'll do. And I think that carried on for about 6-7 years, something like that. I didn't do it for that long, but other people started doing it.
Bow has its own bit of techno history as well, because it's home. Bow is now home to. I won't mention his name because he values his privacy.
Right.
But there's a particularly influential and interesting analog techno producer who is now based in Bow.
Is there?
Yes.
Wow.
I'll tell you off mic about who
the drummer of the Boomtown Rats used to live in Bow.
And one of Level 42 did as well.
Right. Yeah, it's got its own history then. Yeah, I fixed the drummer of Boomtown Rats scooter once when I was like 16, I think it was, when I was into scooters.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is funny the things that you come up with, like the things that you come up with, you wouldn't believe would never happen, and tiny little places, and there you go. That's that's thrown me. I'm interested now. I want to finish now and listen. Turn the mics off and hey, listen, finish. So you're back where you are. People are throwing demos tied to bricks for your window, and you're now releasing stuff on Mighty Force again.
Yeah, releasing stuff on Mighty Force again. Yeah. So we've had 6 releases in the last year.
Really?
There's actually 8, but two of them the pressing plant hasn't actually produced the vinyl yet, so I'm counting them as half released at the moment.
On the way.
On the way, yeah. So anyway, yes, there's been three volumes of MF Acid, which is basically they're various artist EPs of some sort of well-known people and some local people,
Right.
like Steve Horn, Fat Checks Pooley,
Right.
and also people that I've just met along the way, like it's Ingo, who is Dron, who's from Germany, and Sven Kostler, or Kostler rather, who's doing some. He normally does sort of chill out stuff on Carpe Sonum, but he's done some sort of acid house things for me.
Wicked.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys from Germany actually as well. There's Frank Rumpout, who is Nyquist. He's done. So it's some local stuff. I want to keep it with as many local people as possible, but also we're kind of building a little family now of other, of people around the world who are all sort of like interested in the same sort of thing and making similar kinds of music, although not the same. So, so Steve Horn as well from up near here,
Right.
Taunton. Who, just seeing where it goes right now. Got like another sort of like at least 2 more volumes of the various artists thing to go.
Right.
Got an artist EP from a guy called WRNR, or Kenneth to his mum, who's from Germany, who also does stuff for Exalt Recordings and various other people. And he's done some banging acid for me.
Right, cool.
Actually got so many things lined up. I'm not even sure what the next one's going to be exactly at the moment. But
what's the BPM you concentrate? Is it various BPMs?
I started off saying nothing over 125, but now I've had a few things that are 130 or so. So
creeping up there.
Creeping up, yes.
Slowly but surely, turning on the up.
I mean, as you probably know, if you've listened to the stuff I actually play on my radio shows myself, I slow everything right down.
Right.
So I don't really ever get above 120, somewhere hovering between 118 and 120. Some of the stuff I play at minus 20 or so. So,
right.
But that's just my thing.
Yeah. Ah, cool. So we were chatting off air like that. Hey, we're off air. We were chatting earlier on and about, we've both been in the music industry for quite some time and done various roles within the industry as well, like we were discussing, and how it's different to when it was back in the day. I think I'd like to bring my labels back, but I'm finding it quite daunting to do that because it is so different. I mean, I'm kind of used to getting everything done and then literally trawling around, ringing people up. Do you want this? Do you want this? Yeah, like more like a vinyl, like a drug dealer, but with vinyl. Do you know what I mean? Like going on to distributors and that. But since in fact my distributor company Infectious, like I've just seen or heard like every distribution company seems to have gone. I mean, is there distribution companies these days?
My digital stuff goes through Prime,
really,
as well as through Bandcamp, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's there are people out there. Yeah, there's Unearthed down near Bournemouth.
Right.
Juno, of course.
Right, Juno's still going.
Yeah. But
They distribute then, Juno, do they?
Distribute, yeah.
Right.
But I'm personally going through Prime, and I do sort of crowdfunded pre-orders on the vinyl. Because I don't want to be left with any stock.
Yeah, so you were saying about pre-orders. So, like, say I'm just going to shove a number out there. So, say you got pre-orders for 200. Do you get 200 or do you get 220?
Well, I'll obviously have a few for myself as well.
And let them trickle out over time and that as well.
I'll just hang on to them at the moment, really, and see what happens. But, I mean, it's really hard if you're doing just a one-off pre-order thing to sell even 200, to be honest. I mean, we're getting to about like 130 now.
Well, I was just chucking a number out there just to make a point.
And as you said earlier, there's so much stuff out there. People have to sift through so many things.
There's a lot of vinyl stuff out there, though.
There's a lot of limited edition vinyl stuff coming out there. Labels like Exalt, Northern Powerhouse, Downfall, Balkan Vinyl too, Posthumans label. There's so many different labels all doing sort of limited editions of between 150 to 250 or whatever.
Right, okay.
Especially on the more sort of acid housey kind of techno-y scene, you know, the old school sounding. There's a lot of people doing stuff.
Right. Do you know Placid at all?
Paul, yeah. Only
I don't know why I'm going. Yeah, Paul, because I don't know his fucking name. I just know him as Placid. I went to I Love Techno and shook the hand of God.
I'm not
Pierre
entirely sure if we've ever met in person, but we know each other online.
Right. Okay.
You know, so
So you never been to one of his nights or anything?
No, not that I remember. Anyway,
no,
he's Bristol based, isn't he? So.
No. Oh, is he?
I thought he was Bristol based. So.
He does I Love Acid, doesn't he? Or did he play an I Love Acid?
He's played I Love Acid,
right,
but it's Josh, Posthuman, who does the I Love Acid Nights quite often with John Da Silva as well, but various other people played.
My friend Rachel, she didn't drag me along. She said, "Do you want to go to I Love Acid?" And I went, "Yeah, right." So on my birthday a few years ago, and Pierre was playing, and Placid was playing. I think Rachel and Placid are friends. Was he originally from Croydon? He's always been from Bristol.
I can't remember. I don't
know
either.
You have
to ask him now.
I should. Well, now it's in Bristol. It's only 40 minutes down the road. Maybe I can get him down here and
pretty sure
ask
Paul's
him,
in Bristol. Yes, because he plays
in
pipe and slippers and places. You know.
Does he?
Yeah, same sort of places as Andy Compton does stuff.
Fuck me, Andy. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. So did you have a lot to do with the rules and that?
No. There was a sort of short-lived, slightly disastrous label that I set up with some other people called Refried that we did when I was at Amato, and the very first release on that was one of Andy's first releases of the Raw Rules as well. And yeah, so I knew Andy from Devon, and
did he come in and shop and stuff?
Oh yeah.
I know information.
I remember him from when he still had very long hair.
Yeah,
and stopped being a metal kid.
I know him from fucking being a metalist and working in HMV.
Yeah. So yeah,
I think I did a whitey in his garden once after doing too many bongs.
yeah, another one who comes from the southwest who's like, who's done
very well
for himself, hasn't he? Yeah,
he's got like 100 albums out or something ridiculous.
I can't believe how prolific that man is.
Yeah.
How he does it, I don't know. But
yeah. So you say your radio. I mean, I skipped through it the other night. I didn't listen to it. The link you gave me, or the link that I had, but I did. I was fucking. I was
so
really
many radio
intrigued,
shows out there right now.
Yeah,
aren't there? It's
are.
just ridiculous. You know, I've actually stopped listening to anybody else's radio shows now because like I haven't got time if I'm going to be doing them myself too. That sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Well, not really, because if you're busy, aren't you? And it's good to be busy, but
also I don't really want to know what other people are doing.
So I don't like being influenced by people.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to copy anyone.
Yeah. So
and I don't want to be gutted either when I hear it's such a good track and I'm going, well, why can't I write like that?
I mean, occasionally I'll listen to like someone like there's this guy Mick Clark who's Iron Blue who's done a track for me too, but that's not what I listen to. He's just really interesting because he'll play all sorts of stuff from crack rock through to techno to all different sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, and he's kind of an inspiring guy who's been around since the 70s, so I sometimes listen to his show and what he's doing. So, hi, Mick.
Yeah. So what BPM did you say you played at?
I tend to stick sort of like 118 to 120, and if something happens to be 135, well, I just slow the thing down.
You just do it. Fuck it.
It's digital, isn't it? You can do what you like, and as long as you can sort of make the bass and the drum sound all right with a few filters and things,
of course.
You know.
I mean, it's going to lead me on to like Richie Rundle's thing, Slug Rave. Are you into that at all? Is that something similar? Or is
Richie's
that completely different.
I mean, I obviously Richie and I go right back to Exeter days, and we used to actually DJ together now and then downstairs at the timepiece, playing lots of slower stuff and things. I wasn't a very good DJ then. I was only doing it for a laugh.
Right.
Well, I wasn't a DJ at all. I'm not entirely sure I'm a DJ now. I wouldn't refer to myself as a DJ. And
what do you mix on?
I just have a controller and a laptop. And
are you using Tractor or?
I use Serato.
Serato.
Yeah.
And then what sort of controller do you use?
Sometimes I've used Virtual DJ. So
what's Virtual DJ?
Virtual DJ is the free program you can get actually, the newest version isn't that far removed from Serato or Tractor, to be honest. But no, I've moved. I started off using that because I wasn't sure if I was actually going to go on doing this for very long, because I only started doing a radio show because this guy Daz, who was starting a radio station called Alpha, just got in touch one day and said, "Hello, you're Mark from Mighty Falls. Would you like to do a radio show?"
Right.
I've never done anything like that in my life. Okay, well, that sounds like a good reason to do it then.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I started off doing that show. I did that for a couple of years, and that station went defunct, and then Love Summer was starting. So I said, "Hey, Love Summer, will you give me a show?"
Oh, wicked.
And now I do every couple of weeks on that.
What, every other week?
Every other week, Wednesday night, 10 till midnight.
Right on. And that's Craig's label.
That's
not
Craig,
label, Craig's
Craig and
radio.
Claire, yeah.
Old creature himself.
Indeed.
Wicked. So
I've kind of tried to develop from there my own style of something. People seem to like it. It's slow, it's dubby, it's like lots of overlaid break beats and things with acidy squelches in, and it's more influenced by dub and krautrock really than techno, I think. Myself.
Okay. What's krautrock?
Krautrock is the mid-70s German sound that came out of Dusseldorf and Berlin and Cologne. Right. Can being a prime example of krautrock. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Can.
No.
Okay. Or Neue? No, probably not. If you haven't heard the term krautrock, you won't know who any of those people are.
No, not at all.
They created this sound that really sounded like nothing else, very spacey and funky, and sort of techno played on instruments, really.
Oh, right, okay.
So yes, doing that. And you asked about slug rave. Yeah, I'm a big fan of slug rave and what Richie gets up to, and Ben as well. But I don't think I have any similarity to them, except they're slow, and I'm quite slow against what other people do.
Slow,
but
you're quite
they're
slow.
slower than me.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Is it a thing, or is it just something Ben and Richie had made up?
There is like a sort of kind of little underground scene of people who are playing slower stuff, like A Love from Outer Space and people like that too. Okay. I guess, whether all before he died and Sean, they were playing stuff that was a lot slower than other people. And I guess it's something that all came originally from the sort of like when people started bringing tapes of the Italian cosmic disco scene from the 80s on late 70s and 80s onwards. Like
how's cosmic disco? Is that some sort
of a scene that was based in Rimini.
Right.
And like no one over here had heard of it until like sort of the late 90s, early 2000s. And some people just started bringing these tapes back.
Was it psychedelic disco or something?
Psychedelic disco, and it was also called Afro as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Not Afro House or anything. But what happened was it's these guys who were taking tunes of day and they were slowing them right down and sometimes playing them at half speed and things and mixing them together to create this sort of like really slow, funky, druggy sound.
Monged out sound.
But also quite Balearic in the way that some of it was quite poppy, And I think that influenced an awful lot of people who also then in the sort of late 90s onwards began slowing things down as well. You look who are all influenced by that. You can now tell me that's wrong and you're not. So, but but I don't know. I think a lot of people would agree that scene sort of what began to influence this much slower down kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
And I think I kind of see that slug rave and people like that are more part of that, and I'm more part of a sort of more techno-y thing.
Right.
I don't play a lot of vocals or anything, and I do occasionally, but it's more trying to get into this sort of deep kind of rhythmic kind of dubby voodoo-ish experience that you just lose yourself in for a while.
Oh, that's wicked. That's good to know. That's good to hear for you as well. So talking about Andy used to play a lot at the Mighty Force Wednesday nights, didn't he?
He played at a few of them, yeah. I mean, we had him more than once, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely remember him playing like there at least a couple of times. Me here seeing him at least a couple of times. Did you keep in contact with him at all? I mean, I know Richie and him became really good friends, didn't they? I
think so, yeah. I mean, Richie keeps in touch with everybody. He's like...
he messaged me the other week. It was really good.
Yeah, he's the most social person on the planet. He stays in touch with everybody from every scene he bumps into, and he knows everybody. So, but, I mean, we kept in touch with Andy over Facebook and the internet and things. But the first time I'd seen him again was when I asked if he'd come and play the Mighty Force Awakens thing back in May 2017, which he agreed to do.
Wicked.
So,
did he come down and do it, did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I don't know why. Did it sell out?
No, it didn't sell out.
I don't know why I didn't go.
It was the Phoenix, so it was it's quite big.
Oh, it's massive.
I mean, it all started off as me, Richie, and Lee were talking on somewhere around the New Year, and we were just talking, and we were a bit pissed. Okay, well, let's just do a reunion night, and then we thought, well, we'll do it in Move, which used to be Vaults, where the Mighty Force Night was.
Yeah,
and you thought, I'd get down someone from, maybe a couple of DIY people and maybe Tom or something, and Richie and Lee, you can play. And I wasn't doing any DJing stuff at that point. And so it all kind of over the few months spiraled out of control into this thing where suddenly we're doing the Phoenix and we've got 2 or 3 rooms. And
Weatherall playing.
No, well, we couldn't get Weatherall, unfortunately.
Right.
That was a great pity. We did try.
Right.
But unfortunately, he wasn't available at any of the dates that we could do.
Okay.
Richie was great friends with Andrew, and if we could have done, we would have done, but we just couldn't.
That's a
unfortunately. Shame. But Tom came down, and we had Diggs DIY, who now plays as Grace Sands, as you probably know.
I didn't actually.
Yeah,
Grace Sands.
Grace Sands, yes.
Where did that name come from?
Well, he now
is he trying? Why has he changed from Diggs? Then is he trying to split, distance himself from DIY? Or
No. He still uses DIY, but she now is Grace Sands, and so
right.
And is Diggs and Whoosh are no longer thing. Sadly, Pete is very, very ill.
I spoke to him a couple of years ago. He's got, should I say it online or not? It was cancer, isn't he?
Yeah,
basically.
Probably he's very, very unwell anyway.
Yeah.
So and actually the only person who could make it down at that point was Grace. So we had Grace as well, and Justin of Music Freaks came down and played, and Sean and Simon, obviously Ribs and Hurry played. And Dave Green had just got back from New Zealand, so he played as well.
Dave Green, was that Cultural Vibes?
Cultural Vibes,
right? Yeah. That was Plymouth, wasn't it? What happened there? That's something sketchy happened there, didn't he? Didn't he have to leave fast?
I'm not going into that.
No. It's probably best to leave.
I know exactly what went on.
Right. But let's just.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I've heard some rumours. I don't know the ins and outs, but it didn't sound very pleasant.
No, I don't think it's my place to discuss that, especially not on air.
No, of course it isn't. Of course it isn't.
But yeah, Dave's back, and he's actually he had been doing Cultural Vibes and various things again. He's got a club down. Hopefully, will reopen soon, called Hanging Gardens down in Plymouth that he does with his business partner down there, Simon Scully, and he's done a few I Love and Acid Nights down there actually. We had Paranoid London down as well, him and me.
Oh, fuck me! CFAX Acid Crew played down there.
Yeah,
is that right?
Had CFAX Acid Crew down for a boiler room thing that the Hanging Gardens did as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That was amazing.
So Dave actually owns the club.
Dave owns the club. Yeah.
Wow.
Along with Simon. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Unfortunately, obviously can't do anything at the moment, but yeah. So we've been going down there and doing things down there.
Do you like CFAX Acid Crew stuff?
I do. I do. Seeing him play live was absolutely incredible. Actually, I've never seen anything like it.
How he remembers, doesn't he?
How he remembers all of that stuff he's doing. I just haven't got a clue.
He plays a lot of Bangface, I think.
Yeah, he probably does, yes.
I don't know if I was at Bangface in the Melkweg in Holland last October. I don't know if he was there then, but I got I could be completely wrong about this, but I got a feeling that he was a resident for a long time. He seemed to be on all the flyers anyway. Every time I look at a Bangface flyer, he's on it.
He gets about, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's Square Pusher's brother, isn't he?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Fucking, I didn't know that. Everyone's intertwined, isn't it? Like you think there's this massive scene everywhere. It's not. It's just Square Pusher's brother and him.
Actually. I mean, if you go back to the older days, then it isn't actually a huge scene, and everybody kind of knew each other, didn't they? At one point, if you didn't know someone, you knew who they were.
Yeah,
what they were up to.
Yeah, that's right. Well, good old times and good days, But thank you very much for that. That was wicked.
No,
it's good.
Pleasure.
It's good to have it's good to have a catch up, but it's good to get all the history out as well. You know, it's like and cross the I's and dot the T's, so to speak. So thank you very much.
Okay, mate.
Cool. Thanks.